think you know these stories. You've heard the songs, but not what was happening behind them. The punches thrown backstage, the songs stolen, the feuds that outlasted careers. These were not just rivalries. These were wars, fought in studios, on stages, and in some cases, through actual fists. And every single one of them produced music the world is still listening to right now.
For you. Make me the train.
10 rivalries, all documented, all real. And by the time we hit number 1, you will never hear these songs the same way again. Let's go. Number 1, Sam Cooke versus James Brown. The Godfather versus the Architect.
I was born.
Before Beyonce, before Marvin, before anyone, there were two men who were both trying to answer the same question. What is the soul of black music? And who gets to define it?
Coming, but I know a change gonna come.
Sam Cooke, the man they called the King of Soul, a gospel prodigy from Clarksdale, Mississippi, who sang so beautifully that even Elvis Presley admitted he was trying to sound like him.
What's up there, beyond the sky?
And then there was James Brown, raw, relentless. A man who once said, "I don't know karate, but I know crazy. 2 kings, 1 throne." Here's the thing that makes this rivalry electric. These two men never publicly traded insults. There were no diss records, no press wars, but they were in a very real competition, fought entirely through music.
A long time coming, but I know.
Sam Cooke's 1964 masterpiece, A Change Is Gonna Come, was his response to Bob Dylan's Blowin' in the Wind. And Cooke had heard Dylan's protest anthem and felt a pang of shame that a young white man from Minnesota was speaking more boldly about black suffering than he was.
Help me, please.
So Sam sat down and wrote what many consider the most important soul song ever recorded, a meditation on pain, hope, and endurance. A song so powerful, it became the unofficial anthem of the civil rights movement.
But he winds up.
And then, 4 weeks after he recorded it, Sam Cooke was shot and killed at age 33 in a Los Angeles motel. And the song he wrote to prove he belonged in the conversation about black liberation was released as his eulogy. James Brown heard about Sam's death and made a decision. He would not grieve quietly. In 1965, just months after Cooke's murder, Brown released Papa's Got a Brand New Bag, a song so rhythmically explosive, it essentially invented funk music. While Sam Cooke built a bridge between gospel and pop elegance, James Brown tore the bridge down and replaced it with something entirely new. Decades later, history gave them both the crown, but the conversation they started between black artistry and black freedom, that never ended. That is what a real rivalry looks like.
A long time coming, but I know.
Number 2, Aretha Franklin versus Diana Ross, the queen versus the icon.
What you want,
If you want to understand this rivalry, you need to understand one simple fact. Both of these women came from Detroit. Same city, same era, same gospel church culture that shaped nearly every black voice in America. But they could not have been more different. Diana Ross was Berry Gordy's star, polished, controlled, crossover ready. Gordy literally had Supremes members trained to modulate their voices to appeal to white audiences. Now, Aretha Franklin, she did not modulate anything. Her voice came straight from C.L. Franklin's New Bethel Baptist Church, raw, wounded, and absolutely unstoppable.
Time, honey, to give me
Billed in 1967, Aretha walked into Atlantic Records and recorded Respect, a cover of an Otis Redding song that she completely transformed. She took a man's demand for respect from his woman and flipped it into a declaration of womanhood. R-E-S-P-E-C-T, spelling it out, syllable by syllable, until the whole country was singing along. That record hit #1 and stayed there. Meanwhile, Diana Ross was exiting the Supremes to launch her solo career. Her 1970 recording of Ain't No Mountain High Enough was a sweeping orchestral production, built to make the world love her. It worked. It went to #1 too. So what was the actual tension? Yes, according to Aretha's authorized biographer, David Ritz, who had access to Aretha's own words, her fantasy was to eliminate the competition. When Diana Ross was cast to play Billie Holiday in the 1972 film Lady Sings the Blues, Aretha reportedly felt outdone. Even Aretha's own sister Irma confirmed it, saying Aretha has always had problems with her female contemporaries. But here is the twist. When Aretha was asked directly about Diana, she kept it classy. Nah, she praised Diana's film performance, said her son was a huge Diana Ross fan. And years later, Aretha admitted she was glad she turned down the chance to record Diana's massive hit Upside Down, saying simply, Diana was the right one. That is how you shade someone forever. With a compliment. Queens move different.
But remember, if you should fall short of your... All I want is a good man. Treat me right.
Listen, 90% of you watching right now aren't subscribed yet. If these stories are blowing your mind, imagine what you're missing. Hit subscribe, turn on that bell, and join the 200,000 R&B fans who never miss a Groove Lens upload.
#3. Marvin Gaye versus Smokey Robinson. The Poets of Motown. Here is a rivalry that will surprise you, because both men will tell you, to this day, they loved each other, and they did. But love and competition, they are not mutually exclusive, especially at Motown Records, where every artist under Berry Gordy's roof was fighting for the same limited radio slots, the same chart positions, and most importantly, Gordy's attention. Smokey Robinson was the foundation of Motown. When he was there from day one, a songwriter, a producer, a vice president of the label. Bob Dylan himself, once called Smokey Robinson America's greatest living poet. He wrote hit records for Marvin Gaye, songs like I'll Be Doggone and Ain't That Peculiar. The man Gaye would eventually compete with, literally built some of Gaye's early career. But then 1968 happened. Marvin Gaye released I Heard It Through the Grapevine, and it was a monster. A brooding, paranoid, a funky masterpiece, with a bass line so hypnotic that even decades later, the whole world still knows every word. It went to #1, spent 7 weeks there, became the best-selling Motown single of the entire 1960s. Here's the wild part. Smokey Robinson's group, The Miracles, had actually recorded that same song first. But Motown executives felt it was too bluesy for The Miracles. So they shelved it. When Gaye recorded his version, it became legendary. One and Smokey later admitted that losing that song stung. In the early 1970s, Smokey went solo and struggled. He said it directly. He found it hard to match his former Motown collaborators who were all releasing smash hits simultaneously. But Smokey also said this, and this is the most Motown thing anyone has ever said. We were extremely competitive with each other, but it was a competitive thing that also included love. We were there for each other, even while competing. Oh, the grapevine was always growing in Detroit, so when everybody was listening.
Within my life, you see,
Number 4. Otis Redding versus James Brown. Stax versus the hardest working man.
but it wouldn't be nothing, nothing.
Two black men from Georgia, both claiming the title of King of Soul. James Brown, out of Augusta, was already a legend. They called him the hardest working man in show business. He performed so hard, his band had to literally wrap him in a cape and lead him off stage, and then he would shake it off and come back. Every single night.
Made me the train.
Then there was Otis Redding, out of Macon, or Georgia, recording at Stax Records in Memphis. Where James Brown was power and fury, Otis was ache and tenderness.
A thing that you'll never possess.
His 1966 recording of Try a Little Tenderness starts as a quiet, almost fragile ballad, and then explodes in the final minute into one of the most feverish, soul-shaking crescendos in recorded music history. It was the complete opposite of Brown's approach, and it rivaled it in every way.
A little bit sentimental, no.
That same year, 1966, James Brown released It's a Man's World, a soaring, an orchestral declaration of masculine authority, with a caveat so beautiful, it almost sounds like an apology.
This is a man's world.
But it would not be nothing, without a woman or a girl. Two Georgia boys, two completely different sonic philosophies, both chasing the same feeling. That moment when music makes your entire body believe something.
Wearing that same. You see,
The real moment of reckoning came in 1967 at the Monterey Pop Festival. Otis Redding performed for a mostly white rock audience and conquered them completely. A Rolling Stone later called it one of the greatest live performances in pop history.
oh man,
He was booked to headline more shows. And then 6 months later, at just 26 years old, Otis Redding died in a plane crash.
man's world.
James Brown outlived him by nearly 40 years and spent much of that time being asked who the real king of soul was. Brown's answer, he usually just smiled. Because some rivalries, the music answers for itself.
Or it might be. Man thinks about a.
Number 5, Aretha Franklin versus Dionne Warwick. The I Say a Little Prayer Wars.
The moment I wake up.
Same song, two legends, one massive grudge. This rivalry lasted 50 years, and it started with a cover.
And wondering what dress to wear.
Dionne Warwick was the muse of songwriter Burt Bacharach, a partnership so special it produced some of the most elegant, sophisticated pop songs ever written. In 1967, Dionne recorded I Say a Little Prayer, a delicate, breathtaking song about devotion. Top 5 hit, critically adored, perfectly Dionne. And then in 1968, Aretha Franklin covered it and made it her own.
While riding, I'm thinking of us.
Aretha did not just sing that song, she inhabited it. She added gospel fire, changed the phrasing, and turned a pretty pop song into a religious experience. To this day, many casual music fans do not even know there is a Dionne Warwick original. Dionne did not take that well. When both singers were signed to Clive Davis's Arista Records in 1982, the tension became industry gossip. Magazine publisher Cynthia Horner. Now, who knew both women, confirmed. The competition at Arista made things worse.
Walk home in my hair now. Walk home in my hair now.
But the moment that broke it wide open came in 2012 at Whitney Houston's funeral. Dionne Warwick told mourners that Aretha was Whitney's godmother. Aretha called the Associated Press, literally the next day, to deny it. She accused Dionne of lying, called the statement libelous. When they ran into each other backstage at a Clive Davis documentary premiere, Aretha said Dionne asked her for a hug. Aretha's response? Oh, hell no.
I run for the busty.
50 years of covering each other's songs, and it ended with oh, hell no. That is not just a rivalry. That is a documentary.
Coffee break time. I say a little prayer. My coffee break time. I'm saying.
Number 6, Marvin Gaye versus Al Green. The two souls of the 1970s.
There's too many of you cry.
I'm so in love with you. Come on, help me sing.
The 1970s gave Black America two voices, and every soul music lover had to choose. Not because anyone declared a war, but because the music itself asked you a question. What do you need right now, truth or tenderness? Marvin Gaye gave you truth. In 1971, Marvin walked into Motown and told Berry Gordy he was recording an album about the Vietnam War, drug addiction, and police brutality. Gordy reportedly told him he was committing career suicide. Marvin recorded it anyway. What's Going On? The album is now consistently ranked as one of the greatest albums ever made, by anyone, in any genre, ever. Then there was Al Green. Raised in Michigan, heavily influenced by Sam Cooke and Jackie Wilson, Green linked up with producer Willie Mitchell at High Records in Memphis and created something completely different. In 1972, Green released Let's Stay Together, a silky, an achingly romantic statement of devotion that went to #1 and stayed in rotation forever. While Marvin was asking the world to wake up, Al Green was asking it to slow down, to hold somebody, to breathe.
Yes, whatever you want to do.
Music historians note that Al Green was to the 1970s what Otis Redding was to the 1960s, the definitive voice of Southern soul in his era. But Marvin Gaye's intellectual ambition pushed the entire genre forward.
Everybody thinks we're.
They were never enemies. They never feuded. But in every record store, to every radio station, every barbershop in America, the debate raged. Marvin or Al? Truth or tenderness?
We've got to find.
Maybe the greatest rivalries do not need an enemy. They just need two undeniable geniuses pulling music in different directions until the whole world has to take a side.
People don't punish me with.
Number 7, Brandy versus Monica. The boy is mine, and so is this beef. Two teenage black girls, both with massive record deals, both with undeniable talent, both being relentlessly compared to each other by an industry that could not handle the idea of two of them winning at the same time. This is the story of how a hit record built a bridge, and then the world burned it down. Brandy Norwood was 18. Monica Arnold was 17. Brandy had already starred in her own TV show, Moshe. Now, Monica had already hit #1 at age 15. Both were rising. Both were black. Both were women. So, naturally, the music industry decided they had to be enemies. Here is the truth behind the song. Brandy came up with the concept for The Boy Is Mine while watching The Jerry Springer Show, an episode about love triangles. She wrote it originally as a solo track. But inspired by Michael Jackson and Paul McCartney's famous 1982 duet, The Girl Is Mine, Brandy decided it needed a second voice. Now, she asked her label to reach out to Monica, not as competition, as a gesture of goodwill. They recorded together in Hollywood, and it did not work. Producer Rodney Darkchild Jerkins later revealed he had to remix the track 7 times to keep the balance even because the two singers were not getting along in the studio. Monica had to re-record her vocals separately in Atlanta. The song came out May 19, 1998. It went to #1 and stayed there for 13 weeks. It became the best-selling song in America that year. Over 2.6 million copies sold. It won the Grammy for Best R&B Performance by a Duo, and it turned a manufactured rivalry into a very real one. Reports circulated that Monica was furious when Brandy performed the duet solo on The Tonight Show. Brandy was reportedly hurt when Monica named her entire album The Boy Is Mine, essentially claiming a song that Brandy had written. Then came the 1998 MTV Video Music Awards, where reports surfaced the two came to blows backstage. Their managers released a joint statement calling the press coverage disturbing and totally unfair. Decades later, Monica told HuffPost they had played into the rivalry for marketing purposes early on, and it became a real divide that haunted both their careers. In 2020, they finally squashed it publicly on a versus battle streamed by over 1 million viewers. And in 2025, they announced a joint tour called the Boy Is Mine Tour. Some rivalries take 30 years to heal, but when they do, the music wins. Number 8, TLC versus Destiny's Child. No Scrubs versus Say My Name. The battle for the throne. There is no debate in R&B girl group history more passionate, more personal than this one, TLC or Destiny's Child. And before you answer, you need to understand what was actually at stake. TLC arrived in 1992. T-Boz, Left Eye, Chili, 3 women from Atlanta who did not look like what music executives told black women to look like. They wore baggy clothes, condoms on their eyes, and sang about everything from safe sex to grief to drug addiction. Their album Crazy Sexy Cool from 1994 sold over 10 million copies in America alone, making it the best-selling album by a female group in U.S. history at the time. Then in 1995, they dropped Waterfalls, a song about AIDS, about street violence, about boys dying too young, with a music video so visually stunning, featuring the group dissolving into water, that it won Video of the Year at the MTV VMAs. This was not a pop group. This was a movement. Then in 1999, a young group from Houston called Destiny's Child released Say My Name. An 18-year-old Beyonce, leading her group through a seductive, perfectly constructed meditation on infidelity and female intuition. The production was electric. The harmonies were impeccable. And Beyonce, even then, was clearly something else entirely. Destiny's Child themselves admitted the influence. Launch Beyonce has publicly stated, TLC has influenced just about every female group that is out there, and they definitely influenced Destiny's Child. But influence and competition are different things. The Ringer ran a full Spotify data analysis and concluded that while Destiny's Child had more modern streaming numbers, TLC's catalog had a depth and social impact that was arguably unmatched. Vibe magazine called Crazy Sexy Cool the blueprint for female ensembles to follow. But the group that came after TLC, Destiny's Child, produced one of the greatest solo careers in the history of all music. So who won? TLC built the house. Beyonce moved in and renovated everything. Both women deserve to live there. Number 9. Sam Cooke versus Ray Charles, the two fathers of soul. Before we can talk about any other rivalry in R&B and soul, we have to come back to the beginning, because this is where the entire genre was forged.
Darling,
The year is 1957. Ray Charles, a blind pianist from Georgia, had already been scandalizing the gospel community for years by taking sacred church music and turning it into secular R&B. Church elders were furious. They said he was corrupting the Holy Spirit with the blues. Ray Charles did not care.
with the red dress on, she can battle and on that door.
In 1959, he released What Did I Say? A call and response so sensual, so alive, so raw, that radio stations across the country initially banned it, and it still went to number 6 on the pop chart. Meanwhile, Sam Cooke was navigating the same tension. A teenage gospel star, lead singer of the Soul Stirrers, who crossed over to pop music in 1957 and was immediately rejected by the gospel community.
I know when you're home.
Now, his first crossover hit, You Send Me, knocked Elvis Presley's Jailhouse Rock off the top of the charts. Let that sink in. A young black gospel singer, in 1957, knocked Elvis off the number 1 spot. So here you had two men, both from the South, both building soul music from gospel foundations, but with radically different approaches. Ray Charles, bluesy, raw, orchestral, deeply funky. A voice that could shout like a blues man and croon like a pop singer in the same breath. And Sam Cooke, smoother, more elegant, almost pristine in his diction, but with a depth of feeling that could shatter glass.
I thought it was infatuation.
Music writer Lois Wilson put it simply, Ray Charles and Sam Cooke laid the groundwork, secularizing the sanctified. Ray with 1954's I Got a Woman. Sam with 1957's You Send Me.
Take you home. Whoa, you run.
Both men were answering the same question that has driven black music forever. How do you make something sacred and still make the world dance? Sam Cooke was shot dead in 1964. Ray Charles died in 2004. And the music they made, it is still playing.
See the girl with the diamond ring. She know I know when I'm near.
Number 10, Whitney Houston versus Mariah Carey. The voice versus the range, the greatest vocal rivalry in history.
Said I didn't love you so I should have held on tight. I never should.
And here, at the end, we save the biggest one. Two women, generational vocal gifts, an industry that desperately needed them to hate each other, and decades of drama that played out across tabloids, red carpets, award shows, and studio walls. Whitney Houston debuted in 1985 with an album so commanding, so certain of its own greatness, that she became a superstar overnight. And her voice was a physical force, pure, massive, controlled, capable of building cathedrals in the air with nothing but a single held note. When she recorded I Will Always Love You for The Bodyguard in 1992, that opening a cappella note became arguably the most famous single moment in pop music history. The song spent 14 weeks at number 1. It is still one of the best-selling singles of all time.
I can't sleep at night.
Mariah Carey arrived in 1990, and she was different. And where Whitney was power, Mariah was architecture. A songwriter, a whistle register pioneer, a woman who could move across 5 octaves, from a deep, breathy whisper to sounds that dogs could not hear. Her debut album went number 1 in 1990. She followed it with 11 more.
Growing things, trying to figure out where the hell I went wrong.
The tension between them was never fully spoken, but it was always there. Both artists circled each other for years, occasionally shading the other in interviews without ever naming names. The industry wanted war, and it needed the narrative of two powerful women fighting over the same crown.
I couldn't have fathomed I would ever be without your love.
What actually happened was more complicated. Whitney's private battles with addiction became very public in her later years. When she died in February 2012, at age 48, Mariah Carey was among those who mourned deeply and publicly. The supposed rivalry, which fans had debated for decades, dissolved in grief. In 2025, Mariah was still selling out arenas, still hitting whistle register notes past age 50. No, and Whitney's recordings? They are still being discovered by new generations, still moving people to tears in their cars, in their kitchens, in their earphones on late-night walks. Here is what these two women proved. Some rivalries are not about who wins. They are about what happens when you put two impossible talents in the same universe at the same time. And the universe expands. Whitney gave us the voice. Mariah gave us the range. One together, even in their rivalry, they redefined what a human being could do with a song. And that is the legacy of R&B and soul.
But I'm falling apart, I'm feeling all out of my element.